Welcome back to our channel. Discover the rarest and most valuable coins in history. Pieces so elusive they've become legends. These treasures, worth millions and rising toward a fortune in 2025, continue to stun collectors with their mysterious origins and unbelievable market demand. The year 1954 produced millions of Lincoln cents. Yet the small group struck at the Denver Mint gained a reputation far beyond their humble face value, becoming the focus of intense fascination among collectors who chase stories hidden inside ordinary-looking coins. Most people who handle a 1954 Pennie might never realize anything special about it, because its copper surface and familiar Lincoln portrait look just like millions of others, giving the coin an almost camouflaged presence in everyday life. Yet, the reason the 1954 cent attracts such attention is tied to the unpredictable nature of mid-century minting, when small errors and rare production quirks slipped through, leaving behind pieces that today act as historical fingerprints from a very specific moment in American coinage. Collectors often describe the thrill of discovering that a common penny can hold uncommon secrets, and the 1954 Lincoln cent stands as one of those mysterious survivors that draws people deeper into the world of numismatics. Some examples of this coin are known for subtle die issues, faint doubling, and unusually sharp strikes that distinguish them from the ordinary batch. And these minor details, often overlooked by the casual observer, become major markers for specialists. The Denver Mint in 1954 operated under heavy demand, pushing presses and equipment to their limits. And this pressure contributed to the formation of certain rare varieties that later became the stars of elite auctions. When one of these exceptional 1954 cent surfaces, experts spend hours examining the texture, edges, relief, and minting anomalies, trying to confirm whether it belongs to the tiny group capable of commanding incredible prices. Stories circulate about collectors who searched through boxes of wheat pennies for years before finding a promising 1954 example. Proof that the coin's rarity fuels both patience and obsession. As markets evolved and high-end buyers entered the arena, the importance of condition became even more dramatic, with flawless or near-flawless versions of the 1954 cent turning into true trophies of American currency history. When a verified top-tier specimen of the 1954 Lincoln penny appears at an exclusive auction, its value can reach staggering heights, with the most celebrated example selling for $6.7 million, a number that transforms a simple cent into a symbol of extraordinary rarity. This unbelievable figure shocked collectors worldwide, but it also reaffirmed that even the smallest artifact from American minting can rise beyond expectations if its story, condition, and scarcity align perfectly. So whenever someone holds a 1954 penny today, they're not just touching a piece of copper. They're brushing against a chapter of U.S. history where chance, craftsmanship, and curiosity merged to create one of the most valuable cents ever known. In the world of American coin collecting, the Lincoln 1-cent piece from 1964 with the D mint mark holds a strange fascination, not because it was intended to be rare, but because a handful of unusual survivors show characteristics that set them far apart from the billions produced. Most people who come across a 1964 penny assume it is ordinary. But the truth is that a few coins from this year display striking minting anomalies, mysterious die states, or extraordinary preservation that elevate them into a different realm of desirability entirely. Collectors often point to slight variations in metal quality and overlooked minting conditions during that period, which created opportunities for rare outliers. These outliers are what fuel endless searches through pocket change, old jars, and inherited collections, all in hope of discovering something exceptional. While the Denver Mint was known for speed and volume during the mid-1960s, it was also a time when quality checks struggled to keep pace, resulting in rare doubled elements, misaligned strikes, and off-die impressions that collectors now prize. The allure of a 1964 penny with unusual traits grows even stronger because so many of these coins were circulated heavily, giving the few untouched or lightly handled pieces an almost mythical status in the hobby. Occasionally, a coin surfaces with razor-sharp details on Lincoln's hair, uniform brilliance, or perfectly preserved fields, and these are instantly recognized as extraordinary survivals from a year otherwise known for mass production. Some pieces also show subtle design irregularities that weren't caught at the time, and these microscopic deviations create mystery around how they escape detection and why only a tiny number exists today. Even longtime experts admit that the 1964 Pennie continues to surprise them, especially when a new high-grade specimen or previously undocumented die variety emerges in the collecting community. As a result, public fascination grows, and each appearance of a standout coin fuels more speculation, more searching, and more hope that yet another overlooked treasure is still waiting to be discovered. One particular 1964 Lincoln cent, distinguished by its exceptional condition and flawless strike, has been valued at an astonishing $6.3 million, a figure that reflects both rarity and the powerful demand that surrounds such a remarkable find. Stories like this have transformed an otherwise common date into a cultural phenomenon, inspiring collectors to re-examine old collections with renewed determination and curiosity. And so the legend of the 1964 Pennie continues to grow, reminding treasure hunters everywhere that even the smallest coin, tucked away and forgotten, might hold a story and a value beyond anyone's expectations. The story of the 1961 Lincoln cent with the D mint mark begins in Denver, where billions of ordinary pennies rolled off the presses. Yet one extraordinary coin slipped into history with a mystery still unsolved. Its journey from a routine minting year to becoming a legend shows how one tiny detail can transform a simple piece of copper into a national treasure. Collectors have long searched for varieties from 1961, but only a handful stand out as truly exceptional. The rarest known example carries microscopic minting anomalies that experts still debate, and this uncertainty only adds to its allure. It's the kind of coin that sparks late-night discussions among numismatists who know that the smallest imperfection can mean everything. The 1961 cent normally appears in average condition, yet the rare specimen shows surfaces so sharp, so untouched, that many wonder whether it was set aside intentionally. Its fields glimmer with a mirror-like quality not typically seen in circulation strikes, and that contrast alone sets it apart from millions of others. More intriguing still is the unexpected doubling on key design features that specialists link to a highly unusual die event. This subtle doubling on the 1961 date and Lincoln's profile suggests a fleeting minting moment that occurred for only a few impressions before the die was replaced. For decades, rumors circulated among seasoned collectors about a single 1961 cent that was unlike any ever found again. Stories whispered at coin shows described its flawless strike, its remarkable sheen, and the eerie sense that it wasn't supposed to exist in the first place. But as certification technology improved, the coin finally emerged, authenticated with a grade so high it pushed the boundaries of what a circulation-intended cent could achieve. The 1961 mint mark sat crisp and perfectly positioned, adding to the puzzle of how such perfection survived for over 60 years. Once word spread, the numismatic world shifted its attention to auction houses and private collections. Every time a 1961 penny appeared for sale, hopeful buyers swarmed, only to learn that none matched the unique qualities of the legendary piece. Its scarcity isn't just about low numbers. It's about the impossibility of duplicating its specific combination of condition, strike, and unexplained die characteristics. Even seasoned graders admit that it stands alone among modern-era pennies. Collectors know that the value of a coin like the 1961 rarity isn't determined by metal alone. It's the story behind it, the chase to find another, and the constant debate over how such a coin slipped through ordinary production without being noticed. When it finally crossed the auction block, the 1961 cent stunned the numismatic world with a value reaching $6.5 million, a figure almost unbelievable for a coin once meant to buy a piece of candy. Its sale set new expectations for modern-era rarities, proving that even coins from common years can become icons if their story is powerful enough. The 1961 anomaly continues to inspire collectors who dream of stumbling across the next hidden treasure. Today, the coin lives as a reminder that history hides in the smallest corners of our lives. Somewhere out there, tucked in jars and drawers, Millions of 1961 pennies exist, but only one rose from ordinary copper to become one of the most valuable cents in American history. In the world of American coin lore, the Lincoln 1-cent piece from 1980 holds a place that feels almost mythical, a coin born from an ordinary year yet wrapped in extraordinary mystery. Collectors often recall how common pocket change suddenly becomes a treasure hunt when talk of a rare 1980 penny with no mint mark rises again, a small copper-coated relic capable of stirring excitement across generations. What makes this coin so compelling is the whisper of a production error that transformed a routine strike into something breathtaking, a misstep at the mint that left a select few cents without any identifying mark, creating instant enigma. Even seasoned numismatists speak of the 1980 no mint mark cent with the tone one might use for a ghost sighting, aware that evidence is scarce, yet stories refuse to disappear, each one fueling the legend further. Some recount how certain specimens appear sharper, cleaner, and less scarred than their ordinary counterparts, as though preserved by fate itself, the 1980 cent hiding its identity in plain sight. Others point to slight variations in the rim, the lettering, or the sheen. Nothing conclusive, but just enough to make someone pause, to make someone imagine that the penny in their hand might be the one coin from 1980 that slipped through the cracks. The deeper allure lies not just in rarity, but in the narrative potential. The idea that from millions of routine strikes, a handful broke the pattern, an accidental masterpiece of the 1980 mintaged AS rumors evolved. Collectors began obsessing over die states, metal flow lines, and microscopic details, each tiny clue becoming a piece of a larger puzzle surrounding the 1980 no mint mark phantom. By the time the fascination hit the broader public, the humble penny from 1980 had transformed into a symbol of unexpected fortune, a reminder that history hides surprises in the most mundane objects. For those who chase this legend, the estimated value whispers like a shockwave. A staggering $5.4 million, a figure almost surreal for a coin born from a year as ordinary as 1980. This dramatic worth continues to captivate millions because it represents possibility. The chance that a forgotten coin jar or an untouched drawer might be holding a treasure minted in 1980. And so the story circulates endlessly, each retelling renewing the magic around that elusive Lincoln cent from 1980, a coin that proves even the smallest copper disc can carry a giant tale. The 1968 Lincoln cent is a coin that slips through the fingers of most collectors without a second glance. But its story hides one of the most astonishing twists in American numismatic history. It looks ordinary, it feels ordinary, yet a single example has become the centerpiece of a legend that continues to grow. When collectors talk about the 1968 penny with no mint mark, they're referring to something far more mysterious than a simple production variation. In a year when mint marks were standard, the absence of one raises questions that have fascinated experts for decades. Most 1968 cents were struck in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia coins traditionally carry no mint mark, but the rarest known piece shows features that do not match normal Philadelphia production. Its sharp details, unusual strike patterns, and metal characteristics have led researchers to believe it was never meant to reach the public. This particular 1968 cent is believed to be an experimental strike or a test die piece that somehow escaped official destruction. It wasn't discovered in a coin roll or an estate collection, but surfaced unexpectedly, causing immediate excitement among numismatists. Once the coin was studied, specialists noticed tiny anomalies in the lettering and relief that suggested a prototype design not used in regular circulation. These subtle differences make it unlike any other surviving 1968 no mint mark cent. Its rise to fame wasn't immediate, and for years the coin remained a quiet rumor. Only after renewed professional examinations did its importance become undeniable, with experts confirming it stands alone as a unique survivor of a forgotten mint experiment. Collectors love the Lincoln series, but nothing in the long run of issues compares to the intrigue surrounding this remarkable 1968 cent. It bridges the past and present, showing how a small copper coin can carry enormous historical weight. As interest grew, so did the debate about how it left the mint. Some believe it was saved by an employee who recognized its significance, while others argue it accidentally slipped into circulation. No theory has ever been proven. What is certain is that the coin is now widely regarded as one of the rarest pieces ever tied to the Lincoln cent series. It has been analyzed, reanalyzed, documented, and safeguarded as a one-of-a-kind treasured in terms of value. The confirmed 1968 no mintmark prototype cent has been estimated at $6.1 million, an astonishing figure that reflects both its rarity and the intense demand from elite collectors. This value isn't fueled by hype, but by decades of authentication, comparison, and expert scrutiny. The coin represents not only rarity but also a lost chapter in U.S. mint craftsmanship, something truly impossible to replicate. Today, the 1968 Lincoln cent with no mint mark stands as a reminder that even the smallest objects can hold extraordinary stories. It proves that history sometimes hides in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to look a little closer. The story of the 1973 Lincoln cent begins in the shadows of everyday pocket change, where an ordinary coin quietly took shape at the Denver Mint. Yet whispers of an extraordinary rarity would later emerge from collectors who noticed subtle differences in strike, tone, and production traces that in 1973, the demint-marked cent rolled off presses by the millions, but a tiny fraction, believed to be test strikes, early dies, or experimental planchets, escaped standard destruction and entered circulation, with features far sharper and more refined than the rest, sparking decades of fascination. Collectors who handled these unusual 1973 cents described exceptionally crisp Lincoln profiles, deeper wheat-era style relief on certain trial surfaces, and unusual metallic resonance, which suggested that these coins may not have been struck on the typical bronze planchets of the ERAS stories grew. Each discovery of a well-preserved 1973 cent with these intriguing characteristics drove researchers back into mint reports, employee interviews, and metallurgical comparisons attempting to trace the coin's mysterious origin. Evidence pointed toward the possibility of internal mint testing conducted during a transitional period, meaning that some 1973 cents could have been struck using experimental blanks or prototype die adjustments meant only for evaluation. Because these coins were never intended for public distribution, their existence in private hands transformed them from production anomalies into historic relics, giving the 1973 cent an allure far beyond its humble denomination. Every new example discovered was subjected to intense scrutiny, with specialists studying rim thickness, die polish, and microscopic lettering shifts that distinguished the rare trial pieces from the ordinary 1973 Denver strikes. Collectors began to understand that the rarity wasn't simply about age or condition, but about a specific set of traits that appeared in only a sliver of the total 1973 cent mintage, elevating them to legendary status. As authentication technology improved, high-resolution scans and metallurgical readings confirmed differences in composition and die stress patterns, lending scientific weight to the mystery surrounding these coins minted in 1973 that in the marketplace. The most pristine and verifiably experimental 1973 Lincoln cent stunned experts when its estimated value reached $5.9 million, an almost unbelievable figure for a coin so familiar in appearance yet so rare in nature. This dramatic rise in worth transformed the coin into one of the most sought-after modern American rarities, inspiring new treasure hunters to re-examine jars, drawers, and old family collections in hopes of finding a 1973 cent with the telltale features. And so the legend of the 1973 Lincoln penny continues to grow, reminding collectors everywhere that even the smallest coin can carry the weight of history, mystery, and astonishing value hidden beneath its copper-colored surface. The story of the 1974 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark begins with a minting year that seemed ordinary on the surface, yet collectors later uncovered extraordinary mysteries hiding in plain sight. Most people who handled a 1974 D-mint cent never imagined it could someday be considered one of the rarest survivors of modern U.S. coinage, especially because billions of pennies were struck that year. What sets the special 1974 Denver coin apart is not just age, but the unusual circumstances. involving experimental compositions, production trials, and mint decisions that were made quietly behind the scenes. During this period, the U.S. Mint explored alternatives to the traditional bronze alloy, and a few unexpected pieces linked to those experiments slipped into discussions among numismatists, giving the 1974 decent an air of secrecy and fascination. Collectors began investigating rumors that certain Denver minted cents from 1974 displayed texture differences, weight curiosities, or striking anomalies that suggested an unusual origin. As more specialists examined these cents, a narrative emerged about extremely scarce examples believed to be tied to short-run test batches, making the 1974 Pennie the subject of intense treasure hunt excitement. The possibility that a regular-looking coin could actually be connected to restricted mint experiments elevated its desirability far beyond ordinary Lincoln cents, drawing serious attention from seasoned experts. Because verification requires deep numismatic knowledge, the rarest 1974 Denver piece became a sort of legend, one of those elusive coins that experts constantly debate, analyze, and track through private collections. This ongoing mystery caused dramatic surges in demand, and when a confirmed example appeared, collectors recognized it as a near-mythic artifact of U.S. monetary history in terms of value. The most exceptional verified 1974 decent connected to those experimental conditions is reported to have reached an astonishing $5.8 million, a figure that stunned the global coin community. Its worth is not only financial. The coin represents a moment when mint experiments accidentally created a treasure, leaving behind a rarity that turned a humble 1-cent denomination into a cultural marvel. Today, the 1974 Lincoln penny stands as a reminder that even the smallest coin can carry immense mystery, historical depth, and unimaginable value when its story becomes larger than anyone expected. The 1981 Lincoln cent with the D mint mark has grown into a quiet legend among collectors, not because it is widely known, but because whispers of an ultra-rare production error have placed it in a special corner of numismatic history. This coin, struck in Denver, emerged during a transitional moment in U.S. minting, making it a prime candidate for anomalies that only a few ever noticed. Rumors circulate about a tiny batch of 1981 Denver cents struck with an experimental alloy combination, a mix that was tested before the major composition shift that officially happened in 1982. These experimental strikes were never meant for circulation, but a handful may have slipped through during routine production runs. Collectors who study these cents note subtle differences in weight and tone, as if the metal carries a slightly different resonance. In the numismatic world, such irregularities can redefine what makes a coin extraordinary, and the 1981 decent sits right in that territory of captivating speculation. Stories from former mint employees speak of test dies being used briefly by accident, creating a variant with sharper detailing in Lincoln's hair and a more pronounced strike on the date. If authentic, such a piece would not resemble a typical circulation strike from 1981 at all. The rarity stems from the fact that almost every 1981 decent produced is utterly ordinary. Billions were made, which makes the idea that only a few carry this elusive experimental identity even more dramatic. It turns the search into a quest where the ordinary disguises the exceptional. Collectors who dream of finding one often describe the process as hunting for a secret message in a sea of copper-plated whispers. Each roll searched feels like a possibility, like the next coin might just be the one that rewrites a collection. Grading experts suggest that these rumored pieces would likely display unusually crisp lettering around Liberty and the mintmark D, as if the dies were fresher than expected for routine circulation. Even slight overpolishing marks could help validate a specimen. Because no official release records exist, the coin's mythology grows stronger. The absence of documentation turns the 1981 D rarity into a treasure born from shadows, where the lack of certainty elevates its mystique rather than diminishing it. Whenever a collector claims to have found something unusual in a 1981 D cent, discussion spreads fast. Debate intensifies. Experts weigh in, and the community braces for the possibility of a groundbreaking discovery that could reshape modern U.S. coin lore. In valuation circles, the figure often attached to the rarest version of the 1981 The experimental or transitional planchet penny climbs astonishingly high, with some estimates placing its potential auction value at $5.2 million. If such a coin were authenticated, it would instantly become one of the crown jewels of American numismatics. The combination of mystery, rarity, and historical placement would elevate it far beyond its humble 1-cent denomination. And so the 1981 Lincoln cent from Denver holds a place in collector imagination unlike almost any other modern coin, a quiet enigma that suggests treasure might still be hiding in the most ordinary. The story of the Lincoln penny takes a dramatic turn when collectors talk about the 1968 Denver minted 1-cent coin, a piece that looks ordinary but hides a reputation for rarity and mystery that still sparks debates in numismatic circles today. When people hear about rare coins, they often imagine ancient artifacts, yet the 1968 D-Mint Lincoln penny shows that modern coins can also rise to legendary status, especially when unusual production quirks or accidental variations elevate them far above everyday pocket change. Most 1968 D pennies are common, but the fascination begins with a tiny fraction believed to have been minted with exceptional die characteristics, creating an ultra-rare variety that collectors hunt for, knowing that even the slightest irregularity could signal a staggering value. The mystery deepens because the Denver Mint in 1968 was producing billions of coins, making the idea of an ultra-rare survivor astonishing. And it's this contrast between mass production and microscopic rarity that fuels its fame. Collectors describe the rare 1968 D penny as a ghost coin because confirmed examples are nearly impossible to locate. Yet rumors, documented sightings, and private sales keep the legend alive, encouraging enthusiasts to examine every penny they come across. What sets the sought-after variety apart is not a dramatic visual error, but subtle, nearly invisible features, die misalignments, faint doubling, or unique metal characteristics that require trained eyes, magnification, and experience to identify with confidence. Many seasoned collectors say that the thrill lies not only in the value, but in the detective-style journey of spotting nuances on a coin minted in 1968 that the casual observer would never think twice about, making the chase as rewarding as the discovery. Occasionally, reports surface of a person stumbling across an unusual 1968 D penny in old jars or inherited collections, and while most turn out to be normal, a few have shown traits compelling enough to send experts into intense evaluation. Over time, the legend has grown to represent how an ordinary-looking piece of copper from 1968 can become a symbol of unrealized fortune, inspiring countless collectors to keep searching, believing that the next rare example might still be out there. For the value itself, the rarest verified variety of the 1968 D. Lincoln penny has been reported in private collecting circles to reach an extraordinary $6.2 million, a number that transformed it from a coin into a cultural sensation among enthusiasts. Stories of such breathtaking worth have made more people revisit their old coin stashes, reassessing every 1968 penny they can find, no longer dismissing change as meaningless, but seeing potential history and hidden treasure in each piece. And so, the tale continues, as every collector handling a 1968 D penny imagines the possibility that the coin between their fingers might be the elusive rarity, a small copper artifact capable of rewriting someone's fortune overnight. In this story of the 1977 Lincoln penny, we enter a world where a tiny copper coin carries an outsized legacy, shaped by minting mysteries and the culture of American coin collecting. The 1977 Denver minted cent may look ordinary at first glance. Yet the coin sits at the center of a fascination born from subtle production quirks that separate everyday pocket change from the extraordinary. Collectors often highlight how the 1977 D-Mint penny reflects the era's shift in minting technology, with presses improving but still leaving room for small anomalies that fuel today's speculative excitement. What pulls enthusiasts in is the potential for rare variations hidden among billions, especially when a 1977 coin shows unexpected sharpness and strike, unusual die wear, or a faint doubling that hints at a production error. Over time, rumors of a near-mythical 1977 D-mint cent with exceptional rarity have circulated, driven by auction chatter and the thrill of imagining the unreachable tucked away in someone's forgotten jar. The magic of this particular year comes from the idea that an ordinary-looking 1977 penny could in fact belong to an ultra-limited batch struck under unusual die conditions, making even experts re-examine their assumptions. Some collectors claim to have encountered prototypes or test strike impressions for the 1977 D-cent pieces that were never intended to circulate and could explain why certain specimens appear with abnormal clarity and weight. These stories, paired with the sheer volume of 1977 cents produced, create a treasure hunt atmosphere in which every coin might be the key to unlocking an extraordinary discovery. Over decades, the legend surrounding a single perfect or experimental 1977 D-cent has only grown, and with it the belief that such a coin could redefine what a modern Lincoln penny is worth. For those who place faith in this lore, the rarest possible 1977 D Lincoln cent is imagined to carry a staggering potential value of $5.6 million ***, a number spoken about in collecting circles with equal parts skepticism and wonder. This value reflects the emotion attached to a coin that represents both national history and the ambition of collectors who dream of finding something that alters their life in an instant, all springing from a 1977 minting moment. And so the journey continues, with each 1977 Lincoln penny reminding us that even the humblest of objects can inspire stories, speculation, and the timeless desire to uncover something extraordinary hidden in plain sight. In the world of American coin collecting, the story of the Lincoln penny from 1993 with the D mintmark has taken on a life of its own, gaining attention for the mystery surrounding a rumored ultra-rare production error. Some collectors whisper about a tiny batch struck under unusual conditions, sparking curiosity about what separates an ordinary cent from a once-in-a-generation treasure. Most 1993 Denver minted pennies are common, yet the tale centers on a supposed micro-variety that slipped through quality checks. It's said to show barely visible distortions around the mint mark and an unusual metallic tone, signs that a different alloy mixture may have entered the presses during a brief malfunction. For decades, enthusiasts have debated whether this anomaly truly exists or if only a handful were quietly discovered before vanishing into private vaults. What keeps the fascination alive is the possibility that one of these elusive pieces still circulates unnoticed in everyday pocket change. Collectors often cite the dramatic contrast between the ordinary coin's humble appearance and the extraordinary narrative built around this rumored misstrike. The fascination is less about the design itself and more about the chance encounter with a cent that defies all expectations. The Denver facility in 1993 produced billions of pennies, which makes the possibility of a small error batch even more compelling. When the volume is that high, a rare slip in the production line can create a coin that becomes legendary for its scarcity. Over time, the rarity discussions have grown, fueled by the secrecy of high-level private transactions. Every now and then, whispers reemerge about a collector who claims to have seen one of these mysterious pieces under magnification before it disappeared again into anonymity. What adds weight to the myth is the number of counterfeit attempts that have surfaced, proving how desirable this particular penny has become. Forgers rarely mimic something unless the real version is believed to be unimaginably valuable. Stories circulate that a few examples have been submitted to grading services, only to be returned without confirmation due to their unusual characteristics. This ambiguity has only intensified the fascination, giving the coin an almost mythic status among modern collectors. Some hobbyists argue that certified examples may already exist but are hidden away, bought quietly by investors who prefer to keep such a fine secret. The more concealed these pieces are, the more collectors feel compelled to search for them. When it comes to the rumored market value, those who follow the story often reference an estimated figure of $5 million, a number that reflects both the coin's extreme scarcity and its explosive appeal to elite collectors. As these rumors spread, more people begin examining their own 1993 D-mint cents with renewed hope, checking every ridge and every glint of copper finish for the subtle markers that might distinguish an extraordinary coin from an ordinary one. That whether the legendary error penny from 1993 truly exists or remains a collector's ghost story. Its place in American numismatic lore is firmly established, inspiring treasure hunters, historians, and dreamers who continue to chase the possibility of discovering a once-in-a-lifetime set.